So on behalf of the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority, we'd like to welcome our friends at the United States EPA. Uh, we have a special event today in where we have an announcement. Some of you may recall we've recently completed what we call an EPA area-wide plan for this neighborhood area, which much of the neighborhood fit within the footprint. And along the fence over here, I'll just point out we do have some charts that we were not able to put on easels because they kept flying into the next block. But you'll see over there in the center is the subject of today's event, an EPA community-wide brownfield assessment. On the left of it is our South Allison Hill EPA brownfield area-wide plan boundary. You'll see on that map the boundary and how that area fits within the greater context of the EPA county community-wide brownfield assessment plan. And to the left of that, we have a transit-oriented design area that we'll mention today that also falls within the footprint of this planned community-wide assessment. And then on the right, we have the South Allison Hill Brownfield Area-Wide Plan and also Cameron Corridor Paxton Creek rechannelization. So all of these, for us, is thrilling to be captured within an additional EPA planning activity. It's critical to us in the city of Harrisburg because we do have so many properties that have a history of being along rail lines or being in creek beds, of having possible contamination, but in many instances, people just don't know. So we achieved looking at that with a community-wide assessment, at looking at all the real estate that's within the footprint, but also the convergence of these other activities are crucial to what the vision can be and to smart urban planning. So today I'd like to welcome a few people to say a few words, and to start off, I'd like you to help me welcome the Land, Chemical, and Redevelopment Regional Division Director for the EPA Mid-Atlantic. We have Mr. John Armstead. Director Armstead, welcome.
Brian, pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Oh, this is an awesome day to be out here in this fine weather and to celebrate this next phase of the redevelopment of the area here that Brian mentioned. So thank you again, Brian, for that introduction. I'm grateful to have this opportunity to join you, Mayor. Pleasure. Other elected officials and their representatives, state officials as well, community folks, CEO of the Hamilton Health Center. Thank you for allowing us to join you here at your fine facility here. This is awesome. Particularly, we want to recognize the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Harrisburg for their outstanding efforts in brownfield redevelopment. So I'm here today to announce, and I'm very pleased to announce that we have selected the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority for a $300,000 brownfield assessment grant. And this grant reflects our partnership with Harrisburg in their effort to continue the revitalization of this city. This is a key element of the federal program, is to really redevelop a lot of these old abandoned sites versus going into pristine, non-touched natural environments. And so where we can rebuild and redevelop for the benefit of society and for the benefit of the communities, this is awesome. And if we keep in mind that as we redevelop for the future and build it in a very sustainable way. And I'm happy to hear that Paxton Creek work that's going on there is going to address some of the challenges in this Harrisburg area. And all the development that has been going on in this area is great. So this grant will be used to identify new sites, conduct the environmental assessments at those sites, and plan the cleanup, and most importantly, the reuse, and to work with the community on outreach activities within the Brownfields area. Some of these sites are in the census tracts designated as federal opportunity zones, including sites in the neighborhoods where we stand today. This is the second grant. This is important for EPA that we've had with the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority, and it expands upon the previous grants that we had, where the previous award back in 2017 was for $200,000, but that's not the most important part of that grant. The most important part of that grant is it leveraged, and Mayor, you'll love this one, $26 million in redevelopment and cleanup of those sites. Think about that. 200,000 leveraged 26. What is 300,000 going to do? So we're excited to hear about those plans and look forward to what's going to come in this next phase. So we hope that as we continue to work as an agency down this path in Pennsylvania alone, we've awarded over $4 million in Brownfield grants to communities all across Pennsylvania. This funding has brought a total of Brownfield grants to the state of Pennsylvania to the amount of $80 million. And with those funds, Pennsylvania communities have addressed over 1,100 sites, cleaned up 70 sites, leveraged over $1.2 billion in other public and private funding to support the redevelopment, and another critical element, leveraging jobs, creating jobs for the community. So in closing, I want to congratulate the Redevelopment Authority once again for the city of Harrisburg, and we look forward to continuing the fine work with all of you going forward, and I hope you will be able to join other communities like yours in the fall in LA for our next National Brownfield Conference, where you'll get to share your ideals, your progress, and more importantly, to gain more information and knowledge about how you can go even further with your redevelopment. So thank you. Appreciate all this time. So thanks again.
We are very fortunate to have strong leadership in the city, and behind that, very strong staff that's very helpful to all of our activities. I often joke that the Redevelopment Authority is 3.5 people, but the reality is we work with the whole team in City Hall, and it is my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, the leader of that team, Mayor Pappenfuss. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. It's good to see you all this morning. I was reminded just a few minutes earlier that it was about 2 years ago when we gathered on this very site to announce the first grant from the EPA. I think we were oriented that way, and we had a long conversation at that point about the history, the industrial history of this area, which of course was a railroad spur, and they made train cars right where we're standing today. That was a great day, and a lot has happened in Harrisburg over the past 2 years. Just to name a few, Brian has mentioned a few. We have really launched the Paxton Creek Revitalization Project. Conversations are underway right now with stakeholders to acquire property, have easements granted, and do other things that will literally take hundreds of acres of Harrisburg land, which is currently in the floodplain, out of the floodplain. That is a transformative project. As well, we've advanced the transportation-oriented development of the area around the Harrisburg train station. You can't drive down Market Street today without noticing the demolition and the promise which is there with all of our partners for mixed-use development, which can create new housing, new jobs, new economic activity. All of this we do in partnership with the Redevelopment Authority. They've been great partners, and I want to thank especially the EPA for having such continued faith in Harrisburg and now leading us to the next stage of an exciting opportunity here in the heart of Allison Hill, next to the wonderful Hamilton Health Center. So what can we do with this money? We can do a lot with this grant here today. It is about leveraging other dollars, encouraging private investment, working with our many partners, and we're lucky to have so many people here today. I'll tell you a couple things that we've already thought of and discussed, which very likely could come out of this grant. Behind me, and I guess to my west, you see the String Company. It's one of the area's largest employers. It's a quiet employer. They go to work and do their business on Howard Street every day. They've thought about expanding. We've had conversations about expansion over the years, and I know that they even have land that they've acquired nearby where they could expand their business and create more jobs. Well, this grant opens up the opportunity for them to have funding to do the necessary environmental testing, which will ensure that that expansion is possible. So that's one potential direct result of this grant, which could create new jobs and new opportunities here. Another example, which I think everyone is aware of, if you go to our east on the other side of 17th Street, you'll find an abandoned Coca-Cola bottling plant, which everyone I think has looked at and hoped for eventual redevelopment of. We have a lot of interest in that building now, and what this grant can do, again, it can provide for the necessary environmental testing that will allow that building to be sold and sold to developers who can do something great. Some of the proposals that we've heard about already include what would essentially be a new market in Harrisburg or a new grocery store, something which would help us eradicate the food desert that we are currently in. So that is the promise of this grant, the promise of these partnerships. And to put it in the larger context of the city, not only in the last 2 years, but in the last year, we've seen tremendous growth and investment in all corridors of the city. If you go to another section of Allison Hill, the Mulder Square section, you'll see a complete transformation there with all sorts of new, wonderful, affordable housing. If you go to the up-down section of Harrisburg, you'll see rising from the ground a wonderful new courthouse and the beginnings of a new archives building. A lot of activity, a lot of private investment coming. I can tell you we've created over 1,000 jobs in the city in the last 12 months alone, and that number continues to grow. And as I think you're all aware, we're about to move out of Act 47. At the end of the summer, the city will leave the Act 47 distressed city status and move into a new era. And we've approved a 5-year plan which calls for continued growth for the city and no tax increases at all for the next 5 years. So it's an exciting time to invest, and this grant will, again, lay the groundwork for additional dollars coming right here into the heart of Allison Hill. So thank you all for coming, and I know we have many, many partners who also have some things to say this morning. Thanks, Brian.
Also with us today, the Regional Manager for South Central Pennsylvania, on behalf of Senator Casey. Help me welcome Sandra Garcia. Sandra.
Good morning. As mentioned, I'm Sandra Garcia, Regional Manager for Senator Bob Casey. He certainly regrets being unable to attend today. Thank you for inviting our office to participate in this wonderful event. Speaking on Senator Casey's behalf, I'm pleased to extend congratulations to the Redevelopment Authority of the City of Harrisburg on receiving the Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Grant. As discussed, the Brownfields Community-Wide Assessment Coalition grant totaling $300,000 will enable the Redevelopment Authority and its coalition partners to investigate and really redevelop multiple brownfield sites and develop remediation plans for them. Once the conditions of these sites are addressed, the sustainable reuse of the land and associated infrastructure can be realized. Redevelopment of underutilized lands and their buildings in our community is certainly necessary and will improve the city of Harrisburg's economy, as mentioned by Mayor Pappenfuse. So Senator Casey and our office looks forward to working with you all. Again, congratulations to John, Brian, Mayor Pappenfuse, Janine, and all of the other local stakeholders on this grant. Thanks.
Also joining us today, Regional Manager for Central PA, on behalf of Senator Toomey, Larissa Bailey. Welcome, Larissa.
Thanks, Brian. Mr. Mayor, Mr. Armstead, other city officials, and other guests in attendance today. And to Janine, our host for today's event and the neighbor to this site. Senator Toomey has had the pleasure of visiting your location in the past. I know he's really enjoyed that, and just wanted to say thank you for all the good work that you continue to do for our community as well. But my name is Larissa Bailey, and I serve as Regional Manager for Senator Pat Toomey's Central PA office. Like Senator Casey, Senator Toomey certainly sends his regrets that he was not able to be here with us in person today. However, it's my true honor to be here on his behalf. I'll be very brief. Senator Toomey certainly commends the Trump administration and the EPA for all the work that they're doing to helping to revitalize the city of Harrisburg. And he certainly commends the Redevelopment Authority of the city of Harrisburg for the work that they are doing to encourage investment in our great capital city. So thanks to all again for attending today's event. Have a good day.
Thank you, Larissa. Today we happen to have one of my board members with us. Joining us today is the Vice Chair for the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority, and join me in welcoming Nicole Johnson to say a few words.
Good morning. As a board member of the Redevelopment Authority, we are very grateful to receive this grant. These new funds will allow HRA to build upon the work we recently completed with the EPA funded South Allison Hill area-wide plan. In addition to assessing brownfield conditions, we will promote reinvestment in the corridor, which is very important. Today's EPA community-wide assessment grant will engage residents, conduct reuse plans, conduct a market study, and produce a community-wide brownfield revitalization plan. We will also engage with environmental professionals, neighborhood businesses, and other community stakeholders in the area. We are very thankful and so proud of our many partners who each provide significant contributions to stabilization and stabilizing our neighborhoods and creating collaborative impact. These would be the U.S. EPA, the City of Harrisburg, PennDOT, Capital Region Water, Tri-County Community Action, of course Hamilton Health Center, Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, the PA Department of Environmental Protection, Tri-County Regional Planning, South Allison Hill Resident Association, Harrisburg Regional Chamber and CREDIC, PA Career Link, Dauphin County Library Systems, and of course Senator Casey and Toomey staff. So we are grateful, we are appreciative, and we are looking forward to continuing to clean up and revitalize this community. So thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. We can't have an event like this without inviting one of our major partners from the very beginning, and that is Hamilton Health. You had a vision for your health center before we were eyeing the EPA funds for area-wide planning, but nonetheless, yours is such a rich story of a very important community service expanding and achieving so much. So next we have with us today Ms. Janine Peterson, CEO of Hamilton Health. Janine.
Good morning, and we'd like to welcome all of you here to Hamilton Health Center. It's really a great day today to hear that the EPA is giving this second round of funding to the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority. And I heard the first grant was awarded in 2017, if I heard correctly. Well, you know, the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority, Community Action Commission, and the community organizations in this area had a long foresight of what was to come and become here down in South Allison Hill. The building right behind you, if you can imagine, about almost 10 years ago was boarded up. It was a blighted part of this community. But the Community Action Commission asked us, Hamilton Health Center, who is now celebrating 50 years of being in operation, to look at this particular area of the city for our expansion. Our original home was in uptown Harrisburg, but we couldn't find enough property to provide the expansion for what we had a vision for. And so we came here to this 50,000 square foot building, which actually had just been renovated or remediated as a brownfield. So we were able to purchase 5 acres of land. And back at that time, we had this vision that if we would just renovate 50,000 square feet of that space, that would be adequate to serve us for another 20 to 30 years. Well, I have to tell you, less than 10 years later, we've run out of space in that building. We expanded twice in that building and no longer have the capacity to serve the people that we are serving today. When we started here, we had 100 employees. Today, we have 280 employees. We serve and people from throughout the Tri-County area. For the first time in our history in 2018, we had over 100,000 patient visits, 101,000 to be exact. That was the first in our history. We serve 30,000 individuals, unduplicated individuals. For a health center that came from uptown Harrisburg, and if you have any idea of the facilities we came from, that is unimaginable. This has exceeded all of our expectations. But this property provided us the access to public transportation. We have a bus route right outside of our building that allows people to ride to and from this facility. It stops here 34 times a day. We have people that walk here because the housing community is one of the most consolidated, condensed areas for housing in this area. There is a very active community organization here, unlike I had ever seen even in uptown Harrisburg. They are very active and they advocate on behalf of the citizens of Harrisburg. When we first came here, people said, "Why South Allison Hill? You hear about it on the news all the time and all the crime." We're here to tell you that the community has embraced us coming here. The community has taken ownership in what we provide here. We provide medical services, dental services, vision, behavioral health services, all under one roof. We have tenants in our buildings, a full-service pharmacy. We have imaging and laboratory services right in our building. We have an optometry and ophthalmology group right here in our building, so people don't have to go from here to somewhere else and try to navigate all the systems of care. They can get all of the excellent care that they need right here. We employ our doctors and dentists. This is South Allison Hill. We're looking for the investment to come here. EPA saw it. They gave funding to the Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority to get it started, and we are so happy that the second round is coming here, and we're hoping that other businesses see the vision that we grasped over 10 years ago and come and take advantage of the area that we have here. Thank you.
Thank you, Janine. Today we're also fortunate to have with us the District Director for Congressman Scott Perry's office, Jay Ostrich. Jay, nice to see you. Didn't know you were coming.
Great to be here.
Thank you
so much. Good morning, everyone. Congressman Perry regrets that he is unable to attend this morning, but we are absolutely thrilled to be here. I know I'm thrilled to stand here because it's not every day that I get to thank President Trump and Mayor Papenfuse all in one sentence. So, Mayor, thank you. Thank you for allowing us to be here and what you're doing to revitalize and re-energize this great city. We'll also want to thank the EPA Administrator Wheeler, who was just in our district a few weeks ago, and Mr. Armstead, who is from Philadelphia, as Regional Administrator today. Look, this is what happens when you have a synergy of community, Commonwealth, and country coming together. This is what happens when you put aside partisanship and you embrace what a community needs to revitalize and re-energize. This is not a Republican issue, revitalizing and re-energizing the city and our community. This is not a Democrat issue. This is not a Republican issue. This is a 10th Congressional District issue, and it's an American issue, and we all must work together. And so we are absolutely thrilled to be able to see this great partnership of federal, state, and local government working together for something great to happen again here in Harrisburg. Thank you very much, and we look forward to coming to the groundbreaking and seeing what rises here as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. We did have Kathy Horvath planning to share with us today from the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection, but Kathy can't be here. I do want to just recognize Kathy for her years of dedication, her years of hard work, and her high standards of professionalism when it came to working with the DEP. She's retiring the end of this week, so I just wanted to make sure we recognized her for a minute. Also, I do want to thank a few of our friends at the EPA for their help, not only for today's event, but for as we went through the last planning exercise. Brett Gilmartin, thank you, Brett, for your hard work. Bonnie Smith, of course, and then Gail Scott and Christine Gaffney. I know they can't be here today, but I do want to recognize them. And last on our agenda, but certainly not least, is one of the important partners that we've had here on Allison Hill for decades, really, Tri-County Community Action. And here to say a few words is their Neighborhood Revitalization Manager, Ms. Julie Walter. Julie.
Thank you, Brian, for having us. And I just want to say how great it is for us all to come together for yet another amazing story and initiative that is coming into this Allison Hill neighborhood and this important step in revitalizing our communities. As Brian said, Tri-County Community Action has been part of revitalization efforts in this neighborhood for over 25 years. And having been here for that long, it's been amazing to see long-term change, as Ms. Janine had mentioned, just playing a role in bringing Hamilton Health into this neighborhood, which is such a vital resource in this community, has been amazing work to be able to see happen. In those 25 years, we have learned and recognized that the importance of revitalization efforts need to be on the residents of the community, because they're the experts in the community and they understand the community better than anyone else ever could. Then that community work has to be done through partnership. And we are excited to be able to be working together with partners like Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority and Hamilton Health to all be working towards raising up the community values. This funding stream brings great momentum that's building in this community and in the city, and provides another opportunity for residents to raise their voices and share their expertise so that the way the community looks and functions reflects their needs and vision. So congratulations to Harrisburg Redevelopment Authority on this new effort, and we look forward to partnering with you to create healthier and transformational spaces. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, and that's a great note in which to end our announcements today. I invite everybody to look at the boards that are over here on the left and take a few moments to ask any questions that you might have of our guests. Thank you for coming. Have a great day.